Hello everyone. Welcome to the Joseon History Society Zoom event. My name is Lee Song-hee and I'm pleased to moderate today's talk. Joseon History Society was founded in 2018 with the goal of building public resource of understanding Korea's past. The previous talks are available from our YouTube channel, so please subscribe our channel to access previous talks and get new content updates. You can simply type Joseon History Society in YouTube search box to locate our channel or use the link I left in the chat box here. One moment, please. Yeah. Uh, Yeah, topics of previous talks were largely within the range of pre-modern era, but we welcome topics geographically, chronologically beyond the scope of Joseon Dynasty or pre-modern Korea. We also encourage scholars working on interdisciplinary research and comparative methods to take advantage of this opportunity to address their work to a wider audience. Yes, I think we have enough participants to start, so before I hand over the floor to today's speaker, Dr. Lee Kyung-hwa, allow me to introduce her and her work. Dr. Lee earned her PhD from Korea University in 2021, and she is currently research professor at Chonnam University in the Department of Korean Language and Literature, currently working for a BK21 research project. Her doctoral dissertation, Literary and Ritualistic Formations of Household Deity Beliefs, examines the cultural significance of household deity beliefs by analyzing their characteristics and systems through ritual and literary representations. Centering the lives and perceptions of deities reflected in narrative shaman songs, her research aims to understand the lives of ancient people who lived in the middle of numerous gods. And obviously, her research interest extends beyond the lives of ancient people to encompass contemporary living beliefs. Today's talk title is Digital Transmission of Folk Beliefs, Resurgence of Samshin Faith Online. Kyung-hwa's talk will be about 40 minutes length, and after her talk is done, then we will have about 30 minutes of Q&A sessions. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Kyung-hwa. So Kyung-hwa, when you're ready, you can start.
Yes, thank you for the kind introduction. I'm very honored to be here today and grateful for the opportunity to share my research with you. As introduced, my academic journey has focused on exploring household deity beliefs, particularly how they were shaped and expressed through rituals and literature. Today, I would like to talk about the change in modern folk beliefs. Specifically, my presentation is titled Digital Transmission of Folk Belief, Resurgence of Samshin Faith Online, where I will explore how traditional belief, especially the Samshin faith, are being revived and transformed in digital space, namely 맘카페. Let's begin. Today's presentation is as follows. And here,
Yeah, Kyung-hwa, can you share the PPT slides?
oh,
Sorry, my mistake. Sorry.
okay, then let's start again. Until the early 20th century, the people of Joseon lived under the system of folk beliefs. Let's imagine you were traveling during that period. Mountains were believed to be domains of mountain gods called Sanshin, who governed the land and protected it from external threats. Sanshin also safeguarded the animals inhabiting in their territory. However, landscapes was also thought to be teeming with spirits and ghosts. These entities, if encountered were believed to attach themselves to travelers and cause harm. Venturing beyond one's village invariably meant facing these dangers. To ensure safety, people devised layers of deity protection like this. Upon returning from the journey, first, you counter would often be with 장승 or 선왕 that is stationed at the village entrance. These figures mark the boundary of 마을, which means village. It was customary to speak 3 times as 선왕 to dispel lingering spirits. Inside the village, a shrine dedicated to 마을식, which means village deities, offered protection against external threats. Despite this, ghosts and spirits were believed to wander in the village, causing illness and misfortune. So, thus, household deities were invoked to safeguard individual home from harm. With the household deities coexisted with the family members, each with unique role. Unlike Greek gods, who often personified abstract concepts such as beauty or wisdom, Korean household deities were more practical, focusing on safety, happiness, and well-being of the family, their living spaces, or space-specific family members. Symbols representing household deities was typically placed in 안방, which means main room of a home. The form of these symbols varied by region and family, but pots like this and paper were common representations. I brought a photo case of the pot. In the pot, people put newly harvested rice every year at September. This is ancestor pot, and this is Samshin pot. Korean folklore is rich with various deities, but today I want to focus on Samshin. At first glance, Samshin might seem to be 3 gods because in Korean, Sam means 3. But this is misconception. The Sam in this context of Sam as originate from Old Korean term meaning having. So making Samshin a singular deity, commonly referred to Samshin as Samshin 할머니. In Korean, 할머니 means grandmother, but this name doesn't necessarily imply age. While 할머니 is predominantly perceived as female, she occasionally appears as male, though this is very rare. For simplicity and tradition, I will refer to Samshin as her. Samshin oversees pregnancy, childbirth, and growth of children. She ensures safe delivery and nurtures the child health until a certain age, which varies between region and families, typically ranging from 7 to 12 years old. Belief in Samshin was transmitted orally without written scriptures, as pregnancy, childbirth, and childcare were traditionally considered women's responsibility. Mothers passed down these rituals to their daughter or daughter-in-law. These rituals can be categorized into 3 distinct stages. The first stage is occurs before pregnancy, during which people, particularly mothers, prayed for conception, often expressing a strong desire for a male child due to historical, social, and cultural preference. The second stage takes place before or for both mother and the baby. This reflects deep concern for the maternal and infant well-being during a time when childbirth carried significant risks. The third stage follows the childbirth, with mothers offering prayers for the child's healthy growth and survival. As infant mortality rates were historically very high, these rituals were flexible, varying by region and household, and involved with circumstances. Folk beliefs were deeply intertwined with people's lives during that time. The majority of population was farmer, and farming required not only human effort but also favorable conditions such as adequate water or and sunlight factors beyond human control. As a result, people prayed to gods for good harvests, believing that divine intervention was essential for a abundant crop and the creation of life itself. They also believed that spirits could harm individuals and communities. For instance, the spread of an epidemic in a village was often attributed to the arrival of god of disease. Similarly, mental illness was thought to be caused by an evil spirit attaching itself to afflicted person. In such a worldview, safety and health were perceived as achievable only through the protection and blessing of gods. However, in the early 20th century, the process of modernization brought sweeping change to people's life. Industrialization transformed traditional lifestyles as many farmers left their field to work in factories. The reliance on divine intervention for sunlight or rain diminished, and homes became westernized in their structure and style. Until then, it was widely believed that people were surrounded by gods, spirits who influence every aspect of their lives. But with the rise of scientific thought, this perception shifted. Diseases were no longer attributed to ghosts or spirits, but to viruses and bacteria. Similarly, creation of life, once shrouded in spiritual belief, began to be understood through medical advancement. As a result of this change, folk beliefs became to be viewed as mere superstition. Some people continued to hold on to folk beliefs, but they were no longer proud of them. The prevailing social view and they labeled such practices as superstition, leading those who maintain these traditions to hide them and feel a sense of shame. Over time, it appeared inevitable that these beliefs would fade away, following the broader trend of modernization and scientific reasoning. At the dawn of 21st century, the internet became an integral part of our daily lives. As you know, the internet provides us access to an abundance of information, and people began to document and share their personal experience online. Naturally, this includes information about folk beliefs, which found a new platform for preservation and dissemination. Before the internet, folk beliefs were gradually fading from people's lives, as they were often viewed with disdain and dismissed as superstitions. However, as these traditions were rediscovered online, public perception began to shift. Instead of seeing them as outdated superstitions, people started to recognize them as valuable cultural tradition and long-lost aspect of their heritage. In Korea, a child birthday holds special significance celebrated with elaborate parties. On the PowerPoint slide, you can see example of the post from 2007. a time when blogging was gaining popularity. One writer shared that for her first child's first birthday, the family only ate rice and rice cakes. After discovering the Samshin ritual online, she incorporated it into her second child's first birthday celebration. These examples illustrate how the internet has facilitated a resurgence of folk beliefs, allowing people to reinterpret and reintroduce these traditions into modern life. Now, I would like to discuss the presence of Samshin within the context of 맘카페. 맘카페 is an online community where mothers and expectant women can share their experiences, seek advice, and engage discussion about parenting and related topics. As illustrated on the slide, there are two main types of 맘카페. One is based on the user's residential and activity area, and one is based on specific purpose. For today's presentation, I will focus on the second type, which is organized around a specific purpose or theme. This type of community often facilitates more focused and detailed conversation, including those surrounding traditional practices like Samshin rituals. Mom's Holic Baby is the largest mom cafe in Korea, boasting nearly 3.5 million members. On average, 1.15 posts per day mention Samshin in their titles, contents, or comments, demonstrating the continued relevance and interest in the Samshin belief within the community. I collected 500 posts containing the term Samshin. These posts can be classified into 4 categories: pregnancy, childbirth, growth, and etc. In the etc. categories, Samshin is often used figuratively. For instance, some doctors with a high success rate in artificial inseminations are affectionately referred to as 삼신 할아버지. These 4 categories align closely with Samshin's traditional responsibility. One is god of offspring, and god of childbirth, and god who takes care of children. While the community members' understanding of Samshin may not be definitive, the fundamental aspects of Samshin's character remain clear. On the next slide, we will explore this in greater detail with specific examples. This slide summarizes representative cases. Please take a look for a minute. Okay, let's go next slide. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, in traditional Samsin faith, there are rituals associated with every stage of pregnancy, childbirth, and childcare. In pregnancy, 삼신 받기. In childbirth, a ceremony to pray for the safety of the childbirth and the fetus. When here, mothers eat 첫 국밥. It means first soup meal. And next, in growth, there occurs rituals from the day of the birth to the 12th or 10th birthday. These rituals were intended to protect both child and the mother. They pray played a crucial role in ensuring a healthy and safe delivery, as childbirth was a life-threatening event before the advent of modern medicine. Many mothers did not survive childbirth, prompting people to pray fervently to Samshin for mothers' safety and well-being. Sorry. At that time, food scarcity made it challenging for new mothers to receive adequate nutrition. Rituals offering to Samshin often included nourishing foods which were later consumed by the mothers to restore their strength and replenish their bodies. With advances in medicine, pregnancy, childbirth, and child growth have become much safer and more manageable. The maternal mortality rate had significantly declined, making many of these rituals less relevant. Today, ritual offerings are no longer about providing nutrition to mothers, and prayers for maternal safety have largely disappeared. However, despite the decrease in infant mortality, rituals marking a child transition through early stage of life remain widely practiced, particularly in Bamkape. For example, when a child experiences a fever for the first time, parents often feel immense anxiety. For first-time parents, every new milestone or challenge can bring a sense of fear and uncertainty. While modern medicine provides solutions, these rituals continue to offer parents a sense of comfort and reassurance. By performing Samshin rituals during a child growth process, parents find emotional relief from their fears, underscoring the enduring psychological significance on these traditions. From this point, we will delve into the specific elements of the ritual. The Samshinsang refers to a ritual table prepared in honor of Samshin. Since belief in Samshin varied across region and households, the setup of Samshinsang also differed. These variations were reflected in the type and quantities of food placed on the table. Here, we have an encyclopedia entry about Samshinsang. Please take a moment to review it. Uh, this encyclopedia entry provides examples of Samshinsang from certain regions, presenting them as representative practices. However, it is important to note that these examples were written by experts and may be presented as definitive despite the inherent variability and fluidity in tradition practice. At Mom Cafe, mothers actively engage in conversation and sharing insights. When one mother asks a question, another responds with comments, creating a dynamic exchange of knowledge. The information shared about Samshin belief typically falls into three categories: personal experience, articles written by non-experts, and articles authored by experts found online. Historically, the Samsin faith lacked written scriptures or formal records. It was passed down orally and adapted to the changing environment. However, in Mamgape's communication takes place in written form and is digitally recorded. While this form or text-based communication is from traditional or transmission, it has nonetheless contributed to a significant transformation, the standardization of 삼신상. Through these interactions, mothers have collaboratively developed a new archetype of 삼신상, blending traditional elements with modern interpretation and practices. This highlights how digital platforms are shaping and preserving cultural tradition in contemporary contexts. In Mankape, these rituals and practices are passed down in the form of archetypes. First, at time, preparing of food is to beginning after 12 p.m. The ceremony is to complete before sunrise. Second is food types and how to cook. Since there are three shamans, Samshin, there should be 3 bowls of rice, 3 bowls of seaweed soup, and 3 bowls of purified water. The seaweed soup should be seasoned only with soy sauce without beef, garlic, or salt. The 3 kinds of namu should be made with vegetables that symbolizing root, stem, and leaf. Bellflower, bracken, and spinach are commonly used. Do not use knife to cut the ingredients. All food used in rituals should be eaten without leftovers. However, it is important to note that these archetypes differ from traditional Samsung belief. The traditional practices, time was not a significant factor, and the type of food used in rituals were highly fluid, adapting to seasonal and regional availability. Unlike today, vegetables were not readily available year-round, so the ritual offering varied accordingly. For example, Mamkape members advise against using a knife to prepare ingredients, as it is believed that cutting ingredients symbolizes shortening a child's life. However, in traditional Samsin ritual, the only item explicitly forbidden to cut with a knife was the rice cake served on the table, not the vegetables. Preparing ingredients like bell flowers without a knife is highly impractical, so many members of Mamkapes circumvent this by purchasing pre-trimmed bell flower from supermarket, which were almost certainly cut with knives. This evolution shows how modern interpretation of Samsin rituals include elements and rules that did not exist in the past, often introducing new layer of formality and expectations. As a result, these practices continue to evolve, become increasingly detailed and standardized. Recently, new rules have emerged surrounding Samsin ritual. They are now even guidelines about pattern of bowl used in the pattern of the bowl used and direction in which the table should face. This raises a question. Why are people continually creating new rules? A particular case offered insight into this phenomenon. One individual discussed the rules of 제사, which means Korean ancestor rites, and inquired about how to properly prepare the 삼신상. While they had no prior experience with Samsin belief, they were familiar with 제사. Historically, there was no single correct way to perform 제사 at home. The details of rituals, including table settings, varied from family to family and adapted to different circumstances over time. However, in recent years, 제사상, which means ancestral ritual tables, have become highly standardized. It is now common in Korea to see people arranging food on the 제사상 according to instructions or photographs found on the internet. Over time, this standardized presentation has become an archetype for how 제사 should be conducted. This experience with 제사 has led some people to assume that there must be a correct way to perform all home-based rituals, include 삼신상. The mothers in 맘카페, familiar with rigid guidelines of 제사, often feel uncomfortable with the more flexible, fluid nature of 삼신 rituals. To resolve this unfamiliarity, they apply the same formalized approach they have learned from 제사. Consequently, they are transforming the 삼신상 rituals into something more standardized and specific, similar to the structured practices of 제사. This image represents the archetype of 삼신상. There are 3 rice and 3 bowls of seaweed soup and purified water and 3 kinds of 나물, and this is rice cakes. 맘카페 provides a wealth of information about 삼신, but it is challenging to view this within the framework of traditional 삼신 belief. While members emphasize accuracy in formality, this focus often stems from a lack of deep faith in 삼신 itself, which was historically more central than formality. In folk religion, the material representation of faith, such as physical symbols or precise rituals, held less importance than the belief itself. For instance, if someone believed deity was present in their home, the absence of a tangible symbol would not diminish that belief. In contrast, 맘카페 places significant emphasis on formal details. Members meticulously gather information from scattered sources and clarify uncertainties through discussion with the community. However, this detailed attention to formality reflects a weak connection to traditional 삼신 faith, highlighting instead the devotion and sincerity of mothers themselves. Historically, 삼신 rituals were private practices continued to the home. Today, however, 삼신 rituals include 삼신상, have evolved beyond family tradition. Mothers now take pictures of their 삼신상 like this and share them online. A search for the hashtag 삼신상 in Korean on Instagram reveals over 60,000 posts. By uploading these images, mothers not only document the rituals but also showcase their efforts and dedication. This public sharing has become a modern way for mothers to express their devotion and commitment. 맘카페 is a space where mothers can connect and discuss their experiences of motherhood. They share insights, learn from one another, and navigate the overwhelming amount of parenting information available online. In the past, parenting knowledge was passed down directly from mothers or mothers-in-law. Now, Moms turn to online communities like Mom Cafe for guidance. The archetype of the Samshin that we have discussed so far is a product of such communal exchange. However, the revival of Samshin belief through Mom Cafe is not always viewed positively. Information about Samshin shared in these communities often revolves around practical questions, such as how to set up the ritual table or prepare food. Some members also post photos of the Samshin as a way to showcase their efforts. In this process, Samshin is often perceived as something that everyone else is doing. Many mothers feel compelled to follow the ritual not because they understand its significance or effects, but simply to avoid falling behind social norms. It becomes less about faith or tradition and more about conformity. Traditionally, Samshin was regarded as a powerful and sometimes fearsome deity. In Korea, God's deities are not inherently good or evil. Their actions depend on how they are treated. For example, the deity of disease might bless those who honored him, but harm those who do not. The ancestors are also take the lives of their descendants who fail to strive diligently or fulfill their responsibility. Samshin could grant fertility, but might also cause a miscarriage or afflict a child with illness or disability out of anger or jealousies. As a result, people deeply feared Samshin, referring to her as a bad-tempered god or a jealous god. In contrast, mothers on Mom Cafe tend not to share this fear. They believe that Samshin will help simply because they have put effort and sincerity into preparing the Samshin. If a taboo is accidentally broken during the rituals, instead of fearing these mothers, Samshin, fearing, uh, fearing, they often laugh it off and saying, Samshin probably didn't notice. For these mothers, Samshin has shifted from a religious act to a cultural parenting practice. Members comfort each other by emphasizing that the effort itself matters more than perfection, and they praise one another for simply attempting the rituals. Nevertheless, some older generations, like grandmothers and mothers in law, still warn about taboos related to Samshin. For instance, they might advise don't say baby is heavy or don't love the child too much. However, community members on Mom Cafe often find these warnings difficult to understand. They question why Samshin would jealous of parents' love for their child and dismiss these taboos as superstition. While the knowledge of Samshin passed down by grandmothers is respected, the associated fears and taboos are generally rejected by modern mothers. For some, preparing Samshin can feel meaningless or burdensome. Waking up early to perform the ritual might be seen as inconvenient. Yet, when mothers frame it as an expression of love saying, it's not a difficult task, or I did it to show my love as a mother. Those negative feelings are often dismissed as a not being motherly enough. The social pressure leads many mothers to post on Mamcafe, seeking reassurance or rationalizing their reluctance to perform the ritual. While Samshin does help alleviate mother's anxiety, the focus is no longer on achieving a religious outcome. Instead, it has become a symbol of mother's sincerity and devotion. It represents a mother's desire for her child's health and her willingness to go to any lengths for their well-being. Sharing images of Samshin online is a way for mothers to demonstrate they are fulfilling their roles as dedicated caregivers. Just as making homemade baby food has become a marker of good parenting, preparing samjinsang early in the morning has evolved into a cultural practice that symbolizes maternal devotion. The meaning and purpose of Samsin Face have transformed just as new rules for Samsinsang have emerged. In the past, a child's first birthday was primarily a celebration of survival. Today, it serves as an opportunity for parents to display their love and support. Similarly, the Samshin has shifted from a religious offering to a means for a parent to express and validate their devotion in modern parenting culture. Yes, that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. 감사합니다.
So let's give another big round of applause for Kyung-hwa. Thank you so much for your insightful talk. It's so interesting that online mom cafes have become a kind of classroom where mothers learn about lost traditions and not just revive them, but even create a new standard of faith. And what strikes me most was that the performance of Samshinsang ritual became a performance of showing off of their motherhood. So before beginning our Q&A session, I want to ask just one quick question. So I understand that folk beliefs were mostly passed down orally and not recorded in text. So in that case, how can we know what the Samshin face looked like before the 20th century?
Uh, Yes, I didn't explain that part earlier. Up until the Joseon dynasty, written language was largely reserved for the ruling class. However, they showed little interest in folk beliefs and often diminished them. As a result, there were almost no records of folk beliefs during Joseon period. It wasn't until the early 20th century that Japanese scholars became the first to show interest in Korean folk beliefs and began documenting them. The recalled information about the various names of Samshin, its fundamental power as a deity and the occasion for its rituals. Why they could not encompass all the diverse practices across the country, their work is considered a significant and valuable record. Later, starting in the 1960s, the Korean government initiated nationwide surveys on folk beliefs. These efforts documented regional and familiar variation. Although folk beliefs were already beginning to fade during this period, but the surveys include knowledge passed down from older generation of women. These records provide valuable insights into the practice of the early 20th century and earlier, allowing us to reconstruction the historical aspect of these beliefs. And the understanding of Samshin is not limited to the records from surveys on folk beliefs, but can also be explored through the Korean mythology, which is sung in shamanic rituals. There are two myths about the Samshin that have been passed down. The one is the 삼승할망 봄풀이, which originates from Jeju Island, and the other is 제석 봄풀이, which is told in the regions out Jeju. Both myths prominently featured themes of pregnancy, childbirth, and childcare. Uh, I want to talk more specific about that. In 제석 봄풀이, Samshin personally experiences pregnancy, childbirth, and parenting. These processes are depicted as incredibly painful and challenging. Samshin becomes pregnant by a man her father disapproves of, resulting in her being banished from her home. She faces the hardship of childbirth and raising her child alone. Given the difficulty of a woman raising a child independently in a patriarchy society, Samshin's triumph over these adversities, eliminates lead to her as a deity. In contrast, in the 삼승할망 봄풀이 does not depict Samshin experience pregnancy, childbirth, or childcare herself. Instead, she is designated as Samshin from the beginning and descend to the human world to demonstrate her powers. She bestow pregnancy upon people, assist in safe childbirth, and protect children. For instance, when the god of smallpox comes to harm a child, Samshin drives him away, safeguarding the child's health. In addition to these myths, Samshin frequently appears in Korean folk tales. Through these stories, we can further understand Samshin's role and attributes as a deity. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your in-depth answer. So now we will have a Q&A session, and I'm sure that many friends here are excited to share their response and hear more from her. And actually, we already have one question in the chat box. So we'll have about 30 minutes of question and answer time. So you can raise questions in two ways. First, you can just use the raise hand function on the bar on the bottom of the Zoom screen and talk yourself. And you can also have a question, just what you're doing now on the chat box. We already have two questions, so just let me read the first and second one and get your answers first. So first question, thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I have a quick question. Is Samshin belief a practice in shamanism? I mean, does Samshin belief a branch of shamanism or not belong into shamanism?
Thank you for your question. Before start the Q&A, I want to say I'm not a native English speaker, so please bear me if my language skills are not perfect. Also, in shamanism, there's a Samshin phase, but it's little different with the household folk beliefs, but it's connected. Samshin is also in shamanism, and Samshin is also in folk beliefs too. But the person who do the rituals is very different. One, for example, the case of folk beliefs is done by a household wife, so they can change it by the circumstances. But in the other side, the shaman is a shaman it's for them it's hard to change the rituals by the circumstances, so the shamanism have the original form more than the folk beliefs, so it have same root but a little different.
Okay, We have another question from Jody and Linda. And Linda, can you wait up for a moment? Yeah, thank you. From Jody, very good talk, clear and interesting. I have a question related to the Samshin and ancestral pot. Are these pots specifically designed for this purpose, or will any pot do? Are the Samshin and pots made of specific clay, special glaze or shape? Is there a ritual involved in placing them in the room? Thank you.
Mm, uh, the pot is not a special pot, it's just a usual pot. So you can buy it from the market. But the size is smaller than the pot which retain the kanjang or doenjang. Its size is like this. And small people buy pots from the market and they place this on anbang. There are no rituals to placing it to the anbang, but the place is almost same in anbang. You know that the Koreans' room have a ondol, ondol, which means we have a wood fire and the heat is different from the room. And almost all of the pots are placed in not warm place, outdoor anbang, because it contains a rice. If it's hot, it will 상하다. It will gone wrong. So people place it cold side of the room. So there are no rituals, and that's not a special part. Same as that, 그 조왕신 in Korean, which got deities of the kitchen. Mothers gave to the 조왕신 a water, purified water every day. In that case, they use bowls, and that bowl is a usual bowl too.
So can you go to Linda's kitchen? You can turn on the
There we go.
microphone.
Um, Kamsamnida, thank you so much for this talk. It's really fascinating. My religion is a neo-pagan religion, which means I practice a faith based on older religions. And when I was learning about it in the late 1990s and early 2000s, the online community was a huge boost to the neo-pagan religion resurrection, as it were. How much of the mom cafes and other online talking about Samshin and other folk traditions are contributing to a rise in a return to an older faith, or is it really more just as you were talking about how it's like a social thing? Is there anything that's like a revival of folk beliefs and religion?
Thank you for your question. There are many folk beliefs are arising by the internet. I saw the one representative example is 차고사, which 차 means car. When you buy a car, people do 제사 for safe driving. And when people moving into a new house, they are bringing it 밥솥, which means rice cooker, to safe and happiness of the new home. It's very similar with 조왕신. When in traditionally people brought a 가마솥, which was in the kitchen. Yes, so in traditionally people moved into new house, they brought a 가마솥 at first. So it changed by these days. It rice cooker. So by the internet, many folk beliefs are arising, but the changes, the shape of or the purpose of these are different from the mom cafe's Samshin, I think. Samshin is more point on the showing off, but the others are based on anxiety or believing for happiness, I think. So I have to research. I'm going to research about them too. So please wait for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Leah also raised a question about Joangjin, and I think you mentioned some of it, but Leah, can you add some more questions or Kyung-hwa, can you talk about
Oh, okay.
Joangjin?
Connection with belief. Okay. 조왕신 at Samshin is they are all in the house of the Koreans. Sorry for my English. They are all connected gods. So in Korean, we say 가신신앙. 가신 means house guardians or house deities. So house deities belief is containing 조왕신, 삼신, and 성주신, and so far. So 삼신, 조왕신 belief rituals are connected to the 삼신상. So when in the 추석 or 설날, we do the rituals for the house deities. So in that days, we do the rituals for the 성주신, 조왕신, and 삼신, each all together. So yes, but in house guardians, house deities, they have a family. 성주신 is a wife, and no, 성주신 is a 남편. Sorry, 남편.
Husband.
Husband, sorry. Husband, and 조왕신 is a wife, and the baby is changed by the mix, but baby is the ground god. But Samsin is not family of them. But people are praying for them together because they thought they are all house deities.
Thank you. Shishang also left an insightful comments on the chat box. Thank you. And can we go to Charles?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. 아주 재밌게 들었습니다. I'm glad that you mentioned the myths about Samshin, and my impression from your presentation was that the myths did not play an important part in the mom cafes. So did you see any examples at all of any references to the traditional myths, or maybe some new myths on the mom cafes?
Yes. Thank you for question. Actually, I'm a major in Korean myths, so I would like to see that, but people don't know about the Korean myths at all. They know about the Samsin by the drama, like 도깨비. Yeah, so they do not refer the Samsin myths, but they are talking about Samsin by what they are seeing in drama or webtoon or something. So the myth is not transmitted by ordinary people, I think.
So I was thinking that might be, in addition to traditions or beliefs about Samshin, the lack of the myths might be another reason why the traditional understanding of who Samshin is being lost, because you don't have that mythic narrative along with it. Okay, and do you have a paper that we can read that this presentation is based on?
Oh, I am writing it, so I think I'm going to present a report in February, but it's in Korean. But I'm
That's
going to
fine.
And I'm going to write in English. I'm trying. Please wait.
I can read the Korean as well. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll look for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I have to end the Q&A session in 5 minutes. And before that, I will just take 1 or 2 questions, and there'll be Aaron. Aaron, can you talk?
So, hi, thank you for the very interesting talk. So I don't know anything at all about this subject. No, just I was wondering, is belief, or my impression, and maybe I'm wrong, is that there's always a certain combination of fun as plus sincere belief in a lot of folk rituals. So sometimes people, or not just folk rituals, a lot of religions. So people will say, "Oh, do you really believe that?" And so is belief a key division, do you think, between earlier practices and present day practices, or is it how do you sort of divide belief and not belief there?
Oh, it's very hard question.
너무 괜히 어려우면 대답 안 하셔도 됩니다.
Well, I focused on fear. I think in Korean beliefs, the fear is very important point, but I can see a fear in mom cafe or these days people. They think they do a rituals for God. It's good, but when it's lack of it's lack or wrong, they don't think it will be a problem. So I think that's the very important thing. It is not a belief. Yes.
Makes sense. They might get frightened later, though. You never know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, for the last question, George, do you have comments and requests?
Yes, I was in the Peace Corps in 1971, and at that time I was working in a health center, and I had a little bit to do with, I guess, nutrition for mothers. And so I was just interested in, I still study Korean, and I try to do translations and things like that. And I remember a long time ago, my friend told me that when a baby is born in the house, that they would call the baby by a terrible name like Donkey or something like that, so that the spirits wouldn't take the baby away. And I guess there are other things like hanging a little kochu out in front of the house, and just things like that. And plus, I guess for the mother's nutrition at the time, they recommended that the mothers try to have at least an egg or 2 eggs every day, and just for the increase in protein and that sort of thing. And try to get them some more carbohydrates once they start, lactation started, and things like that. But and then lately I've noticed an interest in Korean culture in the old folk beliefs and things like that. And I guess one of my favorite bands right now is ADG7, they do a song about the deities in a household, and Yeongchang Manara and things like that. But I was just saying, when you write your paper, I would love to try to read your paper. And if I could help you with your English, I will do that. So I was very, very happy to sit on this. I did come a little bit late, but and plus my grandchild now is 15 months old, and so my daughter had what is it, miyeokguk every day after the baby was born. So, but thank you very much for you, and I hope to hear more from you too.
Thank you.
Any more comments?
아, 따로 없을 것
Okay.
같아요.
I think it's enough for our official Q&A sessions, but you can remain on the Zoom and continue informal discussion after this. So on behalf of the Joseon History Society, I'd like to thank Lee Kyung-hwa again for presenting her thought-provoking research. And I'd like to thank every participant in today's Zoom meeting from Asia, North America, and even Europe for making this global event live. We encourage you to continue to your interest on us by attending the Zoom events, sending your thoughts and ideas. We already received numerous constructive suggestions and proposals, which we are working on them. And please make even more contributions by sharing your up-to-date research as a speaker. So if you have afterthought you'd like to share, you may remain in the Zoom after the recording is over. And Kyung-hwa is also reachable by email. I uploaded her email on the chat box, so if you have any further opinion, you can communicate with her. So we look forward to seeing you again in our future events. Thank you. And the formal part of the CHS Zoom talk is over now. And can you stop the recording?